You think that's funny? That's not funny, Rebecca. And you can't be funny, so just so you know.
You're like worse than Cartman. What does somebody have to do to get kicked out of school in South Park? Hey guys, I'm Rebecca from WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 reasons South Park Elementary should expel Eric Cartman. Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. This pretty much means we're looking at the worst things that Cartman has done at school or to his classmates.
All right, Butters, looks like we have 2.4 inches. Really nice, Butters. I'm hung like a horse.
Number 10, he gave laxatives to Mr. Mackey and the faculty. Wanting to prevent a student from committing suicide after he soiled his pants at school, the faculty unwisely looks to Cartman to come up with a solution.
All right, Eric, here's the deal. This school cannot have another suicide on its hands. We want you to see Pete Melman through this and turn public opinion around.
His plan, however, which involves causing another student to soil herself to distract from the first student, just leads to that student attempting suicide.
The doctors say that Jenny Simon barely survived the fall. Jumping off the school roof fractured her pelvis.
All right, cue.
To distract from that story, Cartman hatches a scheme to make the whole student body soil themselves. When that plan is in danger of being exposed, Mr. Mackey attempts to defuse the situation by throwing Cartman under an actual bus. Enraged by the betrayal, Cartman gives Mr. Mackey cupcakes laced with powerful laxatives.
Excuse me, kids, I need to run. Ow!
I put a lot of Arby's horsey sauce on those.
Number 9, he went to school dressed up as an infamous dictator.
Hey, dude. Cartman, what kind of costume is that?
Cartman decided to dress up as the notorious dictator in the hopes of winning the school's Halloween costume contest. He took pride in the costume, claiming that his mom made it.
Where did you get that costume, young man?
My mom made it. Yig, hi!
Such a choice in costume is a red flag for a troubled student, especially one who is so openly anti-Semitic. When Principal Victoria noticed the costume, all she did was show Cartman a video that explained why it's inappropriate to dress like Hitler and make him wear a ghost costume she hastily made. Unfortunately, that ghost costume was not an improvement, because it ended up looking like a hooded KKK robe.
Hey, they're all dressed up like ghosts too.
Number 8, he pooped on his teacher's desk.
As soon as that bell rings, we do it outside. You got that? And you better be there.
Oh, it's on, bitch.
When Wendy challenges Cartman to a fight after school, he becomes scared of possibly getting beat up by a girl and has to figure a way to back out.
Wendy, I have here $27 in cash. If you just call off the fight, then
You can't bribe your way out of this.
After everything else he tried failed, the best solution Cartman comes up with is to get detention, which would make him unavailable to fight Wendy. With time running out before the school bell rings to let out class, Cartman decides the best way to get detention is to pull down his pants in front of the classroom and take a dump on Mr. Garrison's desk.
Eric, did you just take a crap on my desk?
Well, the plan works, and Cartman has to stay after school serving detention, which seems like a light sentence for something so gross.
Ah, sweet.
Number 7, he burned down the school.
Hey, what's the big deal? I like smoking and it makes me cool!
Oh, really? Do you think lung cancer is cool too?
What about emphysema? Is that cool?
And what about abortion and AIDS?
That's none's the cool.
After sitting through an obnoxious school assembly that was trying to teach kids not to smoke, Cartman and his friends decide to take up smoking so they wouldn't end up like the performers at the assembly when they grow up. When they're about to be caught by Mr. Mackey smoking on the school grounds, they hide their cigarettes in a dumpster.
We don't have any cigarettes.
Well, you better not, because let me tell you something about smoking. Smoking's bad.
However, the cigarettes were not properly put out, so a fire spreads and burns down the school. The boys get sent to the principal's office where, in typical South Park logic, they aren't in trouble for burning down the school, but for something which is less of a big deal: smoking.
You better brace yourselves, parents. The boys were caught smoking.
Smoking?
No, it can't be. My son is not a filthy smoker.
Number 6, he presented an inappropriate photograph of a classmate to his class.
What'd you do to Butters this time? It was genius. I waited till he was totally asleep, right? And then I got my camera, and I pulled down his pants, and then I took a picture of his wiener in my mouth.
While Cartman was spending the night with Butters at a sleepover, he put Butters' penis in his mouth and took a picture, mistakenly believing this act made Butters gay. When he told Stan, Kyle, and Kenny what he did, they told him the act made him gay and threatened to tell everyone what Cartman did.
But I'm not gay, you guys! You are now.
Paranoid that Kyle had gotten hold of the picture and intended to share it, Cartman decided to act preemptively and show a copy of the picture at show and tell so he could disclose the photograph on his own terms. Not only is the photograph obscene, but since it was taken without Butter's consent while he was asleep, it is also evidence of sexual assault.
Dude. Yes! This is shot at a 5.6 aperture using a low light filter. You can see the grain from the high-speed film. There's sort of a penis in my mouth right here. And the low depth of field keeps the background soft.
Eric, what the hell is this?
Number 5. He falsely accused the principal.
Like it or not, PC is back and it's bigger than ever. Woo, woo, woo! You hear that? That's the sound of 2015 pulling you over, people. Suck it.
Upset that PC principal gave him detention, Cartman decides to stand up to the new principal, the way his hero Tom Brady stood up to Commissioner Goodell during Deflategate.
I'm gonna Tom Brady this angle. Yeah! I'm gonna say, you're not giving me 4 days of detention. You're only giving me 1. Yeah!
In a stunningly brazen move, Cartman confronts PC principal in the bathroom and blackmails the administrator, telling him that he's going to falsely accuse the principal of molesting Butters unless the principal drops the detention and apologizes for his harsh discipline.
PC principal, you have Butters' underwear and now... Oh my gosh, it's got your DNA all over it. This certainly doesn't look good for you. I don't need to tell anyone about this. No, I think we have an understanding.
PC principal doesn't seem to process Cartman's accusations though, instead focusing on his use of microaggressions.
Did you just use a term that excludes women from an occupation?
Okay, let's back up. Ah!
Although PC principal should have been fired for beating up a student, Cartman's actions also seem like grounds for expulsion.
Are you purposefully trying to use words that assert your male privilege?
No, I'm sorry, I was just trying to frame you for raping Butters.
Number 4. He purposely infected Kyle.
I have AIDS?
Not yet, but we've confirmed that you now have the virus that causes AIDS. We are very sorry.
Sorry? You gave me AIDS and you're sorry?
After Cartman was diagnosed with HIV, he was mocked by Kyle, who thought he got a just punishment.
I'm sorry, I gotta go home.
Angered by Kyle's reaction, Cartman decided to give Kyle the HIV virus to spite him.
Let's just see how funny it is now, asshole.
When Kyle figured out what Cartman did, he confronted Cartman during recess and beat him up. The two were taken to the principal's office where Cartman was forced to apologize for infecting Kyle with HIV.
I'm sorry for giving you AIDS, Kyle.
While forcing someone to apologize is a stinging punishment to a child, giving someone a potentially deadly disease inarguably calls for stronger disciplinary action.
Kyle, the thing about tattling is, tattling's bad, okay, because nobody likes a tattletale, okay?
A tattletale? He infected me with AIDS! See, he's tattling again. He hasn't learned a thing, you guys.
Number 3. He was indirectly responsible for a preschool teacher being horribly burned.
Hey, Kenny's right. We should put out a real fire. Then we'll be heroes.
During a fateful day when Cartman, Stan, Kyle, and Kenny were in preschool, the boys decide to play a game called Fireman, which involves putting out a fire by peeing on it. Not knowing how to start a fire themselves, they convinced Trent Boyette, the class delinquent, to start a fire, promising him they'd be able to put it out.
Do you know how to start a fire? Sure, I burn lots of stuff. Start one, then we're gonna put it out. We're firemen!
Unfortunately, they were not able to put out the fire, and it ends up burning the preschool teacher horribly.
Trent Boyette, what have you done now?
They said they could put it out.
Children, get back away now! I'm burning!
Worse yet, Cartman and his friends did not take responsibility for causing the fire, pinning it all on Trent, which resulted in the child being sent to juvenile hall.
You better pray I never get out of juvenile hall. You better all pray.
Number 2, he channeled the Jigsaw Killer. At the start of this episode, Cartman is sitting in Mr. Mackey's office. We find out that Cartman's in trouble because he handcuffed schoolmate Billy Turner to a flagpole. Then Cartman told Billy that he had poisoned Billy's lunch milk, and the only way for Billy to reach the antidote was to cut through his leg with a hacksaw Cartman supplied him.
That's very naughty, Eric.
Well, he called me chubby.
This incident is reminiscent of the Saw movies, but unlike Jigsaw, Cartman wasn't torturing Billy to help him grow as a person.
So you're going to watch yourself die today, Adam, or do something about it?
Instead, he was mad at Billy for calling him chubby. It's not clear whether Billy sawed through his leg or not. The only thing Mackey said was that Billy was recovering in the hospital.
Who's got the greatest mom in the world? I do. My mom is #1 in my heart. It's true.
Well, I think based on what has not appeared on the list so far, we know what number 1 is going to be, but let's wait till these honorable mentions are over to see if you're right.
You are not transgender, Eric. You don't even know what that means.
Yeah, huh? It means I live a life of torture and confusion because society sees me as a boy, but I'm really a girl. Ginger kids are born with a disease which causes very light skin, red hair, and freckles. Ah, nasty, yuck! This disease is called gingivitis.
Well, I've got to go over there.
No, Craig, you can't fight him here. Mr. Adler would just break it up. Tell you what, I'll go tell him you accept his challenge and set it up for after school today.
Okay.
Now let me see your hall pass! It's right here. All right, cool, brah. Go with Christ. What? You can't just push me up against the...
Number 1, he tricked Scott Tenorman. There's no better example of Cartman's traits as a psychopath than the time he had Scott Tenorman's parents killed so he could cut them up into chili and serve the remains to his enemy as an act of revenge.
Do you like it? Do you like it, Scott? I call it Mr. and Mrs. Tenorman chili.
Although this wasn't committed on school property, we have a hard time believing Cartman would be allowed near any of his fellow students after such a heinous deed.
Nya, 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 nya. I made you eat your parents. Nya, 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 nya. Jesus Christ, dude!
Not only is it disturbing behavior, but the fact that Cartman can dream up such an elaborate scheme yet struggle with his schoolwork shows how much of a slacker he is academically. If he applied himself and hit the books, maybe he wouldn't be such a problematic student.
Oh, let me taste your tears, Scott. Your tears are so yummy and sweet.
Dude, I think it might be best for us to never piss Cartman off again.
Good call.
Is anybody else hungry for chili? Ew. Anyway, be sure to tell us why you think Cartman should get expelled. Like and subscribe, and check out this handy-dandy South Park playlist to see more of Cartman's terrible moments.